You are now listening to the Minority Trailblazer Podcast. Season 2, new intro, let the story begin.
One time for the lovers, 2 times for the ladies, 3 times for the brothers, 4 times for the babies. Do you love her? 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 1 time for the lovers, 2 times for the ladies, 3 times for the brothers, 4 times for the babies. Do you love her? 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 Brown skin, love her brown skin, love her brown. Brown skin, love her brown skin, love her brown. She my brown skin, love her brown skin, love her brown. She my brown skin, love her brown skin. Hold me down.
Welcome to the Minority Trailblazer Podcast, and I'm your host, Greg E. Hill, the Culture Change Agent. First and foremost, I would like to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for everybody who has prayed for me, who has tweeted me, who has Instagram, DM me, Facebook me, emailed me about my face. And I'm almost 100%. Like I'm kind of like Wolverine right now. 2 weeks, almost lost my face and my eye. And I'm almost back at 100%. So I'd like to thank God first and foremost. And also thank you, our listeners, for keeping me in your prayers and for the well wishes. As well as for those who keep leaving a review. Those are my iTunes users. It's really simple. It takes like a minute. Thank you. We're almost at 100. We only got like 2 more to go. So please make sure you leave your review. The next 2 people to leave a review, please put your, I'll find out your address so I can go ahead and send out a free copy of my book and we can go from there. Also, I would like to say thank you so much for all our listeners in the United Kingdom, in Australia, in Canada, and South Africa. I know there's a lot of people listening outside the U.S. as well, but those 5 countries have been showing up more and more and more over the last couple weeks, and it's so encouraging to know that I have listeners all over the country that are tuning in each and every week, getting valuable insight to hopefully change their lives, to hopefully change their careers, and most importantly, to change the culture. Y'all like how that sound, right? Y'all forget I'm a motivational speaker, so I got that. You know I'm hyped and excited, so I ain't gonna hold you too long before we get into our guest today, because this week's guest is phenomenal, as always. And we only have 5 more episodes in season 2, and in season 3, because we're gonna take a month off in between, and I got some big stuff dropping on season 3. So man, I thank y'all so much for the support thus far. We're gonna continue growing. We're at 55,000 plus downloads. So man, y'all are phenomenal, and we're gonna just continue to build. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the show. And you already know I'm excited because today we have a phenomenal show out there specifically for my people interested in technology, anything digital, technology, app, web development, all that stuff. This is the show for you. So I apologize if you're not really familiar with that, because it's going to get a little techie, but there's a lot of soul in this show. And most importantly, I'm encouraged because the people that I have on the line, and I said people because I have 2. They are their own company, and they are the original company that helped me bring my website to fruition. So the platform you see, GregEHill.com, where you listen to the podcast, where you see all my stuff, they created that website from scratch with help of a template, of course. But they are my web designers, and I'm glad to share their journey. And this is especially those for our entrepreneurs that coming out the gate, first year, second year, are struggling. For the entrepreneurs that are juggling a full-time job with a heavy workload. For our entrepreneurs that have spouses at home too. So spouses, full-time job, and a side hustle that takes a lot of time, energy, and drains them. So I definitely think this show is going to speak to a lot of them. So let me get a little bit about their bio, and I'm going to jump right into it. So our first guest is Timothy J. Noble. He is a mentor, entrepreneur, enthusiast of all things tech. He is a proud graduate of North Carolina A&T State University. It's been a long time since I had an Aggie on the show, so I'm excited to get back to him. And he got a degree in computer science, and he had several internships, and now he works for a Fortune 200 company as a software developer. I mean, he enjoys coding. Like, really, he enjoys coding in multiple languages, including Java, C++, Python, HTML, and native Android. Like, who puts that in their bio? Only engineers puts they enjoy coding in their bio. So he's been very active in his community and church, and he has a passion for giving back and motivating the youth of tomorrow. So that's a little bit about Timothy. He also enjoys biking, riding, and long walks on the park, and spending time with friends and family and friends. And then next we have Miss Britney Epps, and she's also a prior graduate of North Carolina A&T State University, as well as have her master's degree from the University of Cincinnati. She has worked for a Fortune 500 company as a software engineer for the last 4 years, and while following her passion for Spark Designz. She has been coding since she was 12 years old in middle school, starting with Visual Basic. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds something like I probably now couldn't even master. And she is originally from Charlotte, North Carolina, and she has lived in Cincinnati and now lives in Detroit and is glad to be a part of the rebirth of such a historic city. So without further ado, I would like to introduce my web team, my designers, my friends, and also my proud Aggies, CEO, founders of Spark Designz, to the Minority Trailblazer podcast. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having us.
Oh, thanks, man. Greg. I really appreciate that.
And we are breaking new ground because this is the first ever group podcast. So I'm excited. I know we're going to drop some bombs in here. So as y'all always know, every show we drop quotes to kind of get the motivational ball rolling, and it kind of posts it. So if y'all could, I don't really care who does it, but take the floor and share a quote that y'all live by, and then share a story how you use that quote in your everyday life.
All right. So my quote to live by, which is going to be different from Tim's. I mean, we do a lot of the same stuff, but yeah, it's going to be different from you. My inspiration is different than yours, brother. But my quote, and I live by this for years now, is when I stand up before God at the end of my life, I will hope that I would not have a single bit of talent left and could say, I used everything you gave me, by Irma Bombeck. So favorite quote all time. I send it to friends randomly sometimes, drop it in groups randomly sometimes. And the best, I mean, I literally live this every day. Like, I mean, we work, regular jobs, and then we leave those regular jobs and we go and do extra hours for Spark Designz, for just anything we have. I mean, I'm married, so I have my husband, and Timothy has his fiance. So, I mean, even then, we still got to give them 110%, as well as, give our business, give the rest of our team 110%. So, I mean, I'm tired at the end of the day. I know we're both tired at the end of the day, but I don't feel right if I'm not tired at the end of the day. I'm just wasting the talent that he gave me, the time that he gave me on this earth, because a lot of people don't get it.
You starting the podcast deep. I love it.
Right. I like that. I'm gonna need to put that on my wall or something. Put it on my whiteboard.
Yeah, I gotta remember that every day. I gotta do that too. Your turn, Tim. You should have set the ball.
I know. So mine, this one will kind of touch base with kind of what you're doing, and Greg, and just what all of us are doing in general. My quote is, "Do not follow where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail." Mm-hmm. It's a quote by Harold R. McAllendon. And for me, it speaks to being a trailblazer. And it also speaks to one of my favorite scriptures, like, you never know kind of where you're going to end up, but you kind of want to go and do something, go down a path where, like, it's scary, but you want to set out to do something different and make your mark on the world. Because what are you going to leave behind? Kind of like what Britney was saying, what are you going to leave behind when you're gone from this earth? And you want to leave a path, or go where there's no path and leave that trail, so that people know, okay, man, went down this path. It was a good way to go. And I kind of live that every day. And try to do something different and try to make my own lane as far as what can I do differently to attribute to the tech world, or whether it's giving back to the community, or how I can make myself better. But yeah, that's my quote.
Amen, amen. Those are both powerful quotes, and I didn't mention earlier in the show, but I definitely think this show is going to be unique because not only the reason why I brought them on, not only are they my web designs, but also their perspective, like Britney, Miss Epps alluded to earlier. Not only are they work full time as engineers, but they also have businesses, and most importantly, they also have spouses. Like Bree just got married, and I know Tim, has a fiance and he's getting married soon. So I don't think that's a thing that we've talked about in this show, dealing with relationships as well as juggling business and having a thriving professional life, because at the end of the day, you still want to do well in your job and get good reviews. So I definitely want to kind of dive into that, because a lot of times on this show, we kind of stick to entrepreneurship, adding value, whatnot. But I know a lot of you listening here are in relationships or want to seek to have relationships. And here is two prime young entrepreneurs, and one actually has multiple businesses that they're launched. So I definitely can't wait to pick their brain on how they balance it all and that stuff. So before we get to all that juicy stuff, let's start with the personal background to get to know more about their guests and where they come from. So somebody could take the lead, and I just want y'all to ask or each answer, kind of do a little bit of who you are and then where you're from.
All right, so for me, I'm like Greg said, of course, the real introduction. My name is Timothy J. Noble II. I am
King Noble.
Right, that's my moniker, King Noble II. I'm from Gaithersburg, Maryland, born and raised. I have 3 older sisters. I live with my 2 beautiful parents, Tim and Katrina. And growing up for me, I mean, I was the youngest, and I always, felt like I always had something to prove. And being in Gaithersburg, I think my parents put me in a great position to be successful because they were both born and raised in DC, and they knew they didn't want that type of life, or me and my sister to grow up around that type the type of lifestyle that was happening in DC. Mm-hmm. So they put us in a position in the suburbs to be successful. And I, at the time growing up, I just thought, that's just how it was. But I really appreciate them putting us in a position for good school systems, and teaching us very, very good core values. And, now that me being an adult, I realized that, and then that they really put their neck on the line day in and day out, just to provide for me and my sister. So that's kind of my background, where I'm from. And from there, I know you, Greg, from A&T, mm-hmm. the illustrious North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University, where I got my bachelor's degree in computer science. And I went ahead and met Britney there. She got her degree in computer science there. And from A&T, I was blessed with a job opportunity my senior year. Currently a software developer at USAA. And I live in San Antonio, Texas with my beautiful fiance. And that's pretty much me in a nutshell right now.
Amen. She is pretty beautiful.
Hey, watch out.
All right. So, me and Tim grew up a little different. We end up getting to the same point. So that just goes to show you, growing up, it really is just about your choices. So I'm originally from Charlotte, North Carolina, born and raised all 18 years until I decided to go to North Carolina A&T for a computer science degree. Majority of the time, just my mom. Had a stepdad in the picture a little bit, but then that kind of phased out. I have 2 little sisters, 2 little brothers. So unlike Tim being the youngest, I'm actually the oldest. And a lot of my motivation, my inspiration for, just getting out of Charlotte, going to A&T, making, what I need to do at A&T, getting internships, getting a job after, even the travel that I do now is really just for my siblings. Just trying to show them a little something different that, the rest of our family didn't get to accomplish, that we're just in a better place now to accomplish. In my family, I'm the second person overall to get a degree. And then, of course, the first, I also have my master's in computer science from University of Cincinnati. So the first to do that. And I want them to know that there's more out there. There's a lot out there, just from what we saw in Charlotte, what we continue to see, all over North Carolina, a lot of the stuff happening. as far as crime and everything else. Just I wanted to make sure if if they didn't know anybody else, they knew their big sister, one, had their back, and two, did everything so they didn't have to struggle.
That's great. That's great. And before I kind of get into Spark Designz and kind of get into the nitty gritty of this interview, I do want to pick y'all brains because a lot of times everybody that we have on this show has, of course, some of them had different upbringings, different backgrounds, but right now they're doing amazing things, whether it's in a corporation, whether it's an entrepreneur, whether it's a university leader. And with what's going on in the culture, a lot of times, sometimes if we got good jobs, we advocate online with our fingers. We really don't get into the ness of what's going on in the culture, specifically the African American culture. So I'm striving to keep this show a little bit more current and whatnot. So I just want to kind of get y'all thoughts on what role you yourself play and what's going on and things that you can kind of help with. And when I say what's going on, I'm talking about the recent tragedies that happen in America, the culture, the racial climate.
Ooh, man.
And also what role you believe that responsibilities that young millennials play in this. So you personally and the role as us young millennials play in this, what's going on.
Ooh, wee.
I know it's y'all ain't see that the potential questions, but I was like,
we can make a whole nother podcast.
Yeah. I know, for real.
I know, but I wanted to ask because I've definitely I've been doing a little bit of disservice by not really asking our esteemed guests these type of questions to start it off. So I just want to hear y'all thoughts.
Wow. So TJ and I both, Tim and I both, I'll flip back between Tim and TJ. I'll remember that I'm actually on a business podcast and say Tim, and then this is a conversation, so I'm gonna say TJ. But we're both heavy into community service. A part of that being our Greek organizations, and a part of that just being, us being to give back, like regardless of backgrounds. I think that's a lot of what A&T instilled is you got to reach back. Mm-hmm. Like there's no point in us getting to a certain point. So even with the company I work with on a day-to-day basis, there's no point in me reaching back. There's no point in me not reaching back, to seeing from where I've gotten to from the very beginning. Usually, software engineer, female, I'm usually the only one on the team. Mm-hmm. African-American, female, software engineer, I'm definitely the only one on the team. Uh-huh. So I always make it a habit to, even when new people come, I just make sure I reach back. Anytime I see a non-familiar face, definitely the same complexion, just because it's not that many of us in corporate America, I definitely make sure I reach back. Introduce them to other people, introduce them to some leaders. The company I work for has been really great with getting us some FaceTime. But even outside of that, I think me and Tim have been pretty vocal as far as what's going on and how we feel about it. It's strong emotions right there. But our big thing, and this is something, Tim, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out since it's gonna happen anyways. Our thing is just making sure, one, that we set our communities up for greatness. Making sure that everybody, that we can encounter, we can introduce to them in STEM. So actually, Spark Designz is doing a laptop scholarship this year for North Carolina A&T, helping somebody out who doesn't, have one, because a laptop, we all know, you just about need one in order to get through college. So doing that, I do a lot of community service. I live in Detroit. So I do a lot of community service. I'm a part of a lot of entrepreneur networks here. Different from what you see on the news about Detroit, it's starting the uptick. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like, I know Cincinnati, when I lived in Cincinnati, I kind of missed it. It kind of already hit the uptick. Everything was decent. I just feel like me and my husband are here in Detroit right now for the time that we are here to make a difference. So he does a lot of community service as far as going to high schools, going to middle schools. We do a lot of college career fairs. We do a lot of community service. I'm actually thinking about starting a Lego league here, and getting a team together for that. Introduce elementary, middle school students to STEM. Just trying to use my talents, which is just STEM, really, just to reach back. Set us up for greatness.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah, it's definitely trying times right now, I would say, for this country that we live in, Greg. I'm gonna keep mine kind of short and simple. I definitely realize that there needs to be a change in the community, whether it's with the African American people of color, any color, and whether they're blue, meaning police, or, Muslims, black people, there has to be a shift in the culture. And, Greg, this is still, your culture change avenue. So, me being in San Antonio, I live in a majority city, meaning 70% of the population are Latino Americans. 7% are African Americans.
Wow.
And, so you can just imagine, the makeup of this city. And a couple of the things that we've had very recently, I've attended a couple of church forums, and my church has hosted a forum just to talk about these things. My chapter, Delta Rho Lambda, we hosted a community forum where the police chief came out, which is a very big deal. We had a lot of good questions out of that. But besides those talking points in those forums that we've had, it's the action that comes out of it that's important. And a couple of things that we're doing in the community, my chapter, we're having a book bag drive coming up, just to help out with kids and, who might not be fortunate enough to afford the materials. Like these small things like that. I'm working with the pastor out here. We are starting a mentoring group for the community just to mentor young men, to change their mindsets on how to live, whether it's, teaching them etiquette or teaching them about finances, teaching them, just tutoring them, period, or showing them how to serve in the community. So that's a couple of things that I'm doing personally that's very important. And to me, one of the things that's very important, I always tell a lot of people this is an African proverb. It's called Sankofa, and it means to reach back and take or give. And it's about bringing your community up, no matter which community you're in. There's always something important to be done. And, Brittany and I are big in the Buy Black movement, where, Black dollars are important. And we've talked about investing in, Black banks, putting our money there. It's just small things. But, at the end of the day, these small things can grow and become big, because you might not know, it all starts with one. The power of one is very important, because one person can influence one group, and one group can influence one community, and it's a domino effect from there. So those are the things I'm doing in San Antonio, and it's really important to me, because I feel like kids or people younger than me are they're the future of the next generation. Like they're the leaders of tomorrow. So it's imperative that we teach them, skills and values, and, somewhere down the line that's been lost. And I just hope that there's also a shift, not only in people of color, but, that, there's other people that see it too. I actually had a friend, this is a little sidetrack real quick, but I have a friend who's been living in Nigeria for the last couple of years. That's where she's from. But once she graduated from Syracuse for her undergrad, she's been working abroad and living there. She recently came home, and when she left Nigeria, they told her, be safe, because it's crazy over there. Nigeria is a third world country.
That's crazy.
Right. You think, go to Nigeria, you want to tell someone to be careful over there, because you don't know what to expect. It's a wild card just about, but she said, people were telling her coming here to be safe, be careful. So it's crazy how things are. And I just hope to see a lot of action in a lot of places. Of course, there's a lot of talk, people post on social media all the time, but there also has been some people posting action, and I think that's what's important, whatever action comes out of it. And but that's all I'll say about that for now. I could go on a tangent forever, but yeah.
Man, that's powerful. That's crazy. Nigerians is like, yo, be safe. Like, what? But I definitely the biggest thing I got out of that, and it's crazy. I had a conversation with one of my line brothers the other day. And because when that happened, there was a lot of text messages sent out, and a lot of people came with come with ideas like let's globally organize, these chapters in North Carolina and Detroit and all these things, which are great ideas. But then my line brother was like, yo, we always talk about organizing and whatnot, but what about our neighborhood? Like the neighborhood, wherever you live in, what are you doing in your neighborhood? Like, what are you doing in the direct, like even your neighbors, next door neighbors, or the people that's in your small community, whether in your office space, your church, whatever. Because a lot of times we reach for these national platforms, these national agendas, national movements, but I'm glad, like you said, what you can't control, you're controlling that scholarship fund. What you can't control is the work that you do in Detroit, Michigan, or the work you do in San Antonio at your local church. It may not be huge and have these group of 100 individuals driving and meeting all the time, but if everybody says, okay, we're just gonna get this neighborhood right here, that's it, then imagine how strong we would be in these movements and these escapades to kind of change the culture. But this is not a political show, so we'll get back to the thing. So let's talk about Spark Design. Let's go ahead and get into it. What first of all, how did y'all like discuss this business idea, and what made y'all come together with it? And the reason why the context I would like y'all to answer this from is that y'all already had successful jobs after graduation. Y'all didn't hit graduation and just have no jobs. Like y'all had successful careers. You were already active in your community. What clicked in your head say, hey, let's start this side company and then also partner with somebody else on this vision?
Oh man, and it's funny how, this question always comes up. I mean, of course it will always, but, Brittany and I, as you can both tell, we're both motivated and both always thinking, our minds move 1,000 miles a minute. And I guess one day we were talking and we always wanted something to call our own. And, we were both very, versed in websites and mobile apps and just into the STEM field. So we're like, okay, why don't we do a web design company? We'll do this, that, and the third. And it kind of came to fruition, like just out of the blue. We're like, okay, well, yeah, we could probably do this. And I was, I think, sitting in my dorm and, we were talking about it. We're like, okay, what would we call it? So we kind of, I'm big on like meanings and meaningful things. So I was thinking like, household names of companies are, one word that is a set meaning that means something like Google, one word, Microsoft, Apple. It's just a stigma or a stake in your brain. Like, what that is. So I'm like, what about Spark? It's something that it's kind of like a light bulb, that the spark is, the I guess the igniting of a flame or something. So it was like Spark Designz. Okay, it makes sense. Okay, it just flowed, and we liked everything about it because our moniker is, we like to the flame of your business, give it the recognition that it deserves. So like, and it always flows. And Spark Designz was born. This was over 3 years ago now.
It's been 3 years. And what was your first year like? Because I know, especially you, Miss Epps now, you were doing your master's degree. You had a lot going on. So how was it, okay, still putting this on your plate and then trying to make it successful? And honestly, when y'all first started, what was y'all vision of success? Like, what exactly were y'all come together to do? Because there's a lot of web design companies out there. There's a lot of places out there that consult and do this web design stuff. But what was your core mission of doing or starting this company outside of just wanting to be entrepreneurs and want to have something that's your own?
Ooh, so first year was a slap in the face, to be honest. I mean, we came in with this grandeur, and it actually made, I'm going to take the we out and just say me. I think Tim's been real realistic and probably been like the ground to my whole electrical circuit, I promise. I mean, ideas of grandeur, you want to go out, you want to make a huge impact. We were hoping like, we'll make some mobile apps on the side. We'll do this, we'll do that. We'll get all these clients. Yeah. Complete slap in the face. I mean, like you said, there's so many website mobile app development companies are a dime a dozen now. Everybody has one. Everybody does it. So a lot of the first year was just trying to figure out our place in the world. I mean, I was doing my master's. I was in a leadership program. It was pretty hectic. There were a lot of nights I probably didn't go to sleep, or I went to sleep at 5 and woke back up at 7. But clearly I hate being comfortable. And that's always been my big thing. I don't ever want to get comfortable because let's be real. It's real easy in this world. You get a nice, the nice paying job, 60, 70 on up paying job. Get you a nice little place to stay at, get you a little boo thing, get you a dog. Like, it's real easy to, go work for somebody else. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. Go work for somebody else. Come home. Y'all cook dinner, y'all sit, y'all watch TV, you read a book maybe, and you go to sleep. And that's the end of your day. It's super easy to do.
Actually,
and I'm allergic to it.
Mm-hmm.
You said what?
Who likes easy?
I know, but it's so easy to fall into that conundrum of a life. I mean, and I'm not, anybody listening, I'm not shaking you for it. If that's your thing, then that's your thing, but me and Tim just had so much more we wanted to do with whatever time we're given. So, I mean, screw whatever time that needed to be done with Spark, it got done. Mm-hmm. I mean, we really spent our first year building our team. So it's not just us. We have a app developer who specializes in Apple. He's really good with Google Cloud Platform as well. We grabbed a marketing person. We got a finance person because I don't understand numbers. Mm-hmm. And then we got a graphic designer because that's just not our thing. So a lot of the first year was just understanding what our strengths were, what our weaknesses were, and trying to fix those weaknesses.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, it was really staying level-headed because, like Brittany said, that first year, I think we both were kind of big-headed. I mean, maybe Brittany a little more than me, but but I mean, at the end of the day, it was like, oh man, we want to do X, Y, Z. We wanted to go literally from 0 to 100 really quick because we're like, I'm looking for that big cha-ching. But being an entrepreneur, realize, we're going to fail 1,000 times, and then it's really not how you. It's really what you do after you fail, because, we've throughout the couple of years we've been started, we're really kind of starting to get into our groove now. Mm-hmm. And even though we've had stuff set up for years, we're not really doing a whole lot different than before, but it takes time. And, it's just being an entrepreneur, sticking with it. If you have a dream, you got to stick with it regardless. So that's, I think, what's really helped us and what's really been important.
So could you, and because that, first of all, that was great. And if you could just take us to a point in the story where y'all were sitting there kind of maybe a year and a half in, and you're like, yo, this is difficult, man. We thought we was about to do this. And it's like, yo, I don't know. Let's get a new idea. We got, bro, let's rethink this, and then tell us about that story. And then what made y'all say, okay, now let's stick it through. And the reason why I asked to set it up, because there's a lot of people listening, because I get emails all the time that they've been in their business a couple years, and they're like, yo, G, I'm not making any progress, man. And I don't know what I do. I already left another business, and I need a story. I need some inspiration. I just can't, I can't just send my story. Okay, boom. But can y'all share a moment when y'all had to make a decision? Like, yo, are we going to keep doing this, or what was going on? And then share what was the leading motivation that said, yo, let's see it through. Let's keep giving it time. My view might be different than Britney's, but there was a point, it was like we were really spread thin. Like, we were working on a big app. Britney, I think maybe, I don't know, just finished school, was in school. So we were putting all these hours in. I was busy at work a lot too, but it was just like, where can we find time to work on Spark? Like, we really had to sit down and go to the drawing board. It was like, okay, are we good enough to run this business? Like, we want to keep the business, but Brittany was like, maybe we should just let someone else be the CEO of it, or maybe we should bring in an advisory board or something, because we don't know what's doing. We're not getting enough money to our dollars. We have a team that's very, very loyal, and they have their own lives as well. They don't work full time for us. So they have their own full time jobs, and we're in school or are still. So we were like, man, this is really going down the drain. We're not profitable. We're like, I don't know what we're going to do with next. Yeah, it was tough, because we were like, well, dang, should we start over? I mean, I feel like we should just give it one more chance, and then we'll see. Like, I don't know, Brittany, what were you thinking at that time? I know you know what moment I'm talking about.
You're right. I mean, we still, even the beginning of this year, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
We had this exact. I swear we have it at the beginning of every year.
It was like it was like for this year. It was like at the very end of last year. We had just got on with a client, and it was like, okay, well, let's see how it flows. And it's almost like that. You gotta take time to reevaluate kind of where you've come, and like we were realizing, okay, we should be here. You know, we set these goals. We should be here. Like, what are we doing wrong? Yeah. We kind of we tried to put out an app, and then it was so time consuming on our part that we weren't getting the value add we saw out of it. So it was, yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, it was. I mean, definitely kudos to the team. I'm going to shout them out real quick. Keenan, Tamara, Harry, Carmen. Y'all the real MVPs. I mean, because this was really me and Tim's, dream, and we add them to them. They I want to say they bought into it, but they know us. So they know if me and Tim say something's going to get done, it's going to get done. We reevaluate every year. We revamp every year. We've redone our own website. I mean, and we're perfectionists. Like, even when we do client websites, I'll be like, a client will be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I'm looking at it like, I could change this. I could change that. Like, it's just, there's always we really have redone our website several times now. It's just, you just got to keep moving. Like, it got really difficult. I mean, we're in year 4 now. And I promise you, this year, it's just everything is picking up. A lot of that is Greg, for those listening as well. So shout out to everybody that Greg has sent our way. I mean, a lot of that is, but it really is just, it's just word of mouth. And we were confident in our product. We knew what service we could provide to small businesses, which is what we specialize in. We understand people don't have, an entire budget to have a complete tech team and everything you need to have that web presence. So we understood that. And it really was just, we do a good job on one person's website. They go and tell 5 people. And that's really what it's come down to the point now where, we're hosting, we're having free consultations. So if you're looking for a website, we do free consultations. We're having free I got to put a plug. Real quick. Yeah. Oh yeah. Got to plug it. But we're doing those almost at least 2 or 3 times a week now. Oh man. That's just, it's crazy because I swear when we first started, we maybe did one website our first year. We did a lot of, we would make a lot of websites and just, add our tag to them, add it to our portfolio. But as far as websites that were getting, people were paying us for in that first year or 2, maybe 2 or 3. Yes. And now we're to the point where, exactly. Now we're to the point where, we have the influx. Actually, we were actually talking about picking up an intern, because it got so busy that thank goodness we did not quit this past January. We consider, we're like, all right, we'll wait till the end of this year and then we'll reevaluate. But, thank goodness we let it kind of ride.
Nah. But yeah, just for all those listening, it's really just persistence. Like when you have a dream, you got to believe in it. Even when no one else does, you have something that you believe is golden. You just got to work on it. Rome wasn't built in a day. So, you just got to continue to be persistent and be patient. And then I would say this, is really big. Don't spread yourself too thin. There was a point where we were offering website services, social media marketing, mobile apps, business logos and business documents.
Yeah.
And it was so much like I said, we were a team of 5 doing 5 different things. And it was too much for us because, one, we weren't getting any traction on not one of them. So it was like, bro, what are we doing? Why? It was and then we're like, okay, what are we going to stick to as our main product? What's the pros and cons of doing only mobile apps? What's the pros and cons of only doing websites? So, you as an entrepreneur and a business owner, you have to reevaluate your strengths, your weaknesses, and then evaluate what's going to set you up for the long run. Because at the end of the day, your business is going to sink or swim based on the work that you put in and based on the dedication that you have. So we both are very, very dedicated, very, very motivated. And so we're stuck to it. We're stuck to our guns. I mean, this year has been proven to be very, very good for us, and we only can hope to grow from there.
Amen, amen. Because I mean, it's crazy. I was just reading the Fela Knights book other day. I forgot the name of it, but his autobiography, and it's crazy how many times when you really study other. It's not even entrepreneurs. This is for teachers, for creators, for whatever profession you're in. How many times those individuals were like, "Yo, this is my last year. This is my last time doing this." Like with Phil Knight, he was 10 years in the game. His revenues were millions of dollars a year. And every single time, like every week, every month, he had to make $1 million cash payment to a bank in order to even keep Nike open. This is after they had been mega successful from what everybody had thought. But just to make payroll every month, it was do or die for that business. And it's countless times that I, as a speaker or whatever, like, yo, this is just not it. Like, I mean, I thought I had the talent, but it's not working. It's constantly reevaluation. But like you said, this is year 4. Like, and y'all not old. It's not like y'all 40 years old. Like y'all, you like 20, 25, right?
Yes, sir.
And Brett, since you're a lady, I'm not going to disclose your age, but you're not that much older than me. So it's like, this is a long time just to kind of get in the rhythm. But I mean, it just can't, it takes a lot of time. So before we wrap out the personal backstory and stuff like that, knowing what you know now, I know there's a lot of things you would tell yourself when you first started, but what can y'all each give your top one thing you would tell yourself when you first started Spark Designz?
You don't have to have it all together in the beginning.
I like that.
Yeah, that's what I would tell myself.
Yeah, I would say just baby steps, literally. Like, I mean, you want to go big, just start really small, because you make that first dollar, then it turns into 2, and on from there. Baby steps.
Amen, amen. So let's make that transition to present day, and I want to kind of go behind the scenes and ask some questions for those that because when people think about web design, and of course now that I know working with y'all and just kind of knowing the industry more, a quality web design is very costly. And then I've always like, so why is it what is the upcharge, or what is all this? So I want y'all to quickly go through a process, and I guess you can talk to where one person can go the website and one person can go like building an app, and kind of quickly walk us through what that process really looks like, because I know there may be people on the line that they're like, yo, I want a quick turnaround, or why am I getting charged this? So and anytime I ask y'all like what goes into it, I'm blown away on how many levels there are with this if you want a quality design. So can y'all quickly talk about just the process behind the scenes of a web design company?
From building a website, a lot can go to it. I mean, they're so versatile. It all depends on what, a person would want. Like if you want a blog, you're selling t-shirts out of your trunk or blase. I mean, a website is going to need, first of all, a back end for a blog. You need a database, that's going to hold, your blog post, or a database that will hold all of your products that you're selling. And the process behind writing code to make sure your database works, and also not only works, it is also secure. That in translation, translation from, I guess, dollars to software, like it gets expensive to maintain a database, because that has to be upkept. It has to be on all the time. So not only are you looking at, okay, I have X number of products. I get 10 new products every month. I sell 40 products every month. You have to keep that updated. So that costs with maintenance. And not to mention, when you host a website, like at various hosting sites like GoDaddy or domain.com, their servers with all your website files are on 24/7. That's why that cost, like, you have to pay a cost to host your website. You also have to pay a cost to have your domain name. You have to pay for your domain name. And sometimes there are premium domains, like, okay, my last name, if I wanted a noble.com, Noble is a premium word that would in translation be a premium domain that costs in the thousands of dollars. Like, it's crazy that a domain can cost that much, but because there's so many things out there that has to do with noble and nobility and whatever, it's a premium domain. If you want to pay that much for a domain, cool. But domains typically cost about $9, $8, $9. And then for the security, it's probably another $8. But then I want people to understand that not only do you have to realize the coding piece that goes into your website, you have to know that it's content heavy. And when you want a website, your web designer does not provide you your own content. Unless you want them to write you something. I'm not saying, we're good writers or anything, but that's also an extra cost too. That's like having someone write your own speech or whatever, or, paying someone to, take your pictures. So content, meaning pictures and words.
All the text.
Your website. Yes. All the text. I mean, and that's what we do. We when we go through the consultation, we kind of get a sense of what you're trying to put where and whatever. But then after the consultation, we work on wireframes, and that means, okay, placement on this page will go here. And like, we walk clients through that so that they can understand and they can see, okay, I know on the home page, I'm going to have picture 1, 2, and 3 and paragraph X, Y, and Z, And over here on the side, it's going to say this. Like, it's the small things like that, because you got to kind of piece together how you want your site to look. It's a representation of you and what you stand for, or your business or your product or whatever. So like a website, like Greg said, there's many levels to it. And Greg, as you know, working with us, like, you sometimes have to go back to the drawing board because, like, oh man, I didn't realize, I would need this, this, and this. But, a lot of things we try to tell our clients, when you come to the consultation, or even before we start, the contract and the terms, we want you to know, like, at least all the content that you want to put on there. What's the purpose for your site? Oh, I'm a motivational speaker. Okay, let's have pictures of you speaking at groups of kids. Go get a photo shoot done. Let's get you a bio about you, some things that you've done, events, books, and all of that. So there's different things that go into the website and planning. And we kind of done this a lot, so we can kind of help structure, okay, this looks like this, and okay, this looks like that. This can go here. Oh, this looks better, will work better on this page. And also then lastly, would be a template. And a template, right now what we do, we go out, there's thousands of free templates on the internet, and we go out and find a template for our client that is suitable to what they like. We ask them to go look at some websites that they like and tell us what they like about them. We go out and find some templates that we can do. Templates come kind of preloaded with some fake content, and everything on there is highly customizable. We can extract different things and put different things in. But we can also design templates, but that, raises the cost factor again that you were talking about, Greg, because when you're designing a template, that's, more coding to it. And, you're really kind of putting your own spin on how you want the page to look without the content. So that's what the template is. So the content goes into the template and you have it mesh really well. But since we work with a lot of startups, we just kind of get them preset templates so that they can feel comfortable in the speed. It also helps with delivering a project a lot faster. So I can tell you, if we have everything go smooth on a project with a client, I'm talking from start of the consultation to end of project, I think our best is 3 weeks.
Oh, wow. That's phenomenal.
Yeah. And that's just saying, we have a lot of communication, we're messaging back and forth. We're having design checks to make sure everything is in place. Make sure, like, even the smallest little detail, a highlight here, a highlight there, everything is so customizable on a website. It's not even funny. So yeah, that's websites for you. I can go even deeper, but that's an overall websites in probably about 5 minutes.
So, I mean, mobile apps are the same, a lot more costlier than websites are. just because they have probably a lot more interaction than any website will, depending on the app, of course. So usually we start with just understanding what the client's vision is for the app, what it is exactly that you want it to do. If you want a restaurant app, all right, do you want people to be able to order through the app? Do you want people to be able to pay through the app? Do you want them to be able to save old orders? Just exactly what it is that you plan on having the app do. From that, we go to design. So how do you want each screen to look? What's the best way for a screen to look? Because you always want to keep usability to easy. We go into a lot of stuff, and this is probably going to sound rude, but let me explain. We go into a lot of stuff that the user is stupid. That's the best way you can develop anything, that nobody wants to click 5, 6 different things in order to order chicken wings in an order app. You don't want to do it. I had to
that
get
sounds
chicken wings.
Personal. That sounds
I'm just saying, I've seen some we both have seen some horribly done websites and mobile apps. So the what not to do, no 6 clicks to chicken wings. So just a lot of design, understand what each page is going to look like, understand your color scheme. And then, of course, how the user can navigate from beginning to end with as minimum screens as possible. Next we go to, all right, so say you need users, you need information coming in that's got to set up a database. There's multiple platforms. And then we have to introduce our clients to the cost of each platform and how cloud development is the best thing to ever happen to databases. As far as, you only pay for the space that you need. But there's Google, there's Amazon, there's various different clouds. So we have to introduce them to that comparison on that. Next is development. Do you want what we call a hybrid app where, it's quick, it's usually a lot cheaper, and that app can be deployed on Windows Phone, Apple phone, or Android phone. Just doesn't have all the functionalities an Android specific app would have. Or do you want to go the extra mile? Your user absolutely needs to be on Apple, absolutely needs to be on Android, need to be able to use everything the phone has to offer. Well, that's going to cost you a little bit more. So then next, of course, is marketing plan. How do you plan on helping the app gain traction? A big thing is the more downloads you get at a set time, the higher it rises on the number chart, the more people that are going to see it. How do you plan on doing social media? For it, because any app is going to need either Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all 3, or maybe even more with Google Plus and LinkedIn. Also, each app needs a website, so that just upped the cost because that's now a completely different element. Even if it's just a landing page saying, "Hey, this is what the app does," or even more where you have terms and conditions, something like what Twitter and Facebook look like from a website perspective. Then after development for that first round, you got testing. So we usually, select a group of people, test cases, have them walk through and do certain things on the app. So if it's back to my chicken wings, if it's a wings, how many steps does it take to order the chicken wings? The easeability of it. Did the app crash any? And then of course we give them user surveys. Hey, how did you like this? What did you not like about the app? I'm not sure if anybody watches Silicon Valley, but you get some pretty interesting answers. And then of course we take that, we go back, not all the way to the beginning, but how can we refine the app to get those issues worked out the best way possible? And then you have deployment. So going to all the various app stores, Android market, Apple Store, Windows, for those people who actually use Windows phones. I don't know a ton. And that's usually the end. Oh yeah, I just don't know a lot. But that's true. That's the end. And there's a lot of cost when it comes to apps because everybody, of course, wants the demand. Like, oh, I want a user to sign in and do this. Well, that's going to cost you, $5, $6, $7 per user. So you want your app to be successful. You want a lot of people on it. It's going to cost you.
Yeah, you hit that on the head. What are some of the biggest mistakes you see people on people's websites nowadays, as far as like small business owners or whatnot? Like, just this is your time to vent as website people to some of the biggest mistakes, because there might be listeners out here with websites and not knowing they're making these mistakes.
I'm gonna say this. This is just one. Brittany knows this ticks me off. Like, when you have a website, I can guarantee you, over I don't know what the numbers are, maybe over 70% of people who, if they go to a website nowadays, it's on their phone. And if you have a website and you don't have a mobile version, and I'm not talking about like it's your regular version, just a little smaller. If you don't have a mobile version of your website, you're losing right now.
Seriously.
Like, I mean, and we make all our websites responsive, which means they shrink to the size of your screen. So whether it's tablet, a big screen TV, your computer, or your mobile phone, your website will be proportioned properly. And I can't stand that. Any site I see, then I know it's new because a lot of the companies I see are new. But even the older ones, it's time to upgrade. It's time.
Yeah, I mean, that's a major one. I can't even. There's nothing higher than that. That's the absolute worst thing. Like God. I can't remember the numbers. I don't like to put out facts without the exact numbers, but the percentage of people that actually use their mobile phone to go to a website compared to a desktop or a laptop is staggering, to the point where it may cost you a little bit more. And actually, it shouldn't even cost you a little bit more anymore, because just about every platform does responsive. But if it's going to cost you a little bit more, please, trust me, it'll save your business. Please, please, please have a responsive app, and then invest in yourself. I have a pet peeve of seeing, not understand, the cost and everything, which is why we're here. But I have a pet peeve of seeing people that use like Wix.com or Shopify, things of that nature. It's those platforms. They're great. They're for the person who doesn't understand web, doesn't have, the money to go and buy a dev team. But if you really believe in your business, don't use an extra extension. Go ahead, get yourself a URL, so that thing you type in the address bar, and just go ahead and buy it and pay for somebody to build what it is that you want to build. I promise you, like, invest in yourself, invest in your business. Web presence is everything. It's the Internet of Things now. Everything is connected. So you need to make sure that you're investing in yourself.
Amen. So, another question too. So say, hopefully after everybody listens to this website, check out some of your portfolios, and they have website needs, they go to y'all. But what are some key questions that, say, and if they don't go to y'all, whatever, they're trying to find a designer, what are some key questions they should ask their designer before hiring them? Because now there's a lot of freelance websites out there that solicit services. People from India, they charge $7 an hour for that. And like, yo, I can just get my website done over there. So can y'all give for our audience, people that want something done, give them some questions that they should ask the designer before working with them?
This is going to sound like you're jumping the gun all the way to the end, which you are. But ask the designer how easy it is going to be for you to maintain this website after they leave. We see this even with code during our jobs, Tim. Like, people who don't comment things, who have things jumbled, it's not organized. We do pride ourselves in our websites giving the users the ability to go, and we do offer a subscription service. So you could say technically we're taking food out of our own mouth, but we pride ourselves in having websites where, if I need to go show you how to change a few words to it, if you want to change a picture out or add a picture a month or two after we're done with the website, that you can go and do that, and you don't need to pay anybody else to do that. So ask how, of course, look at their work that they've done, prior to, but ask them how easy it's going to be for you to maintain your own website after the project is complete.
I like that. Yeah. Anything to add, Tim?
Yeah. I would say, definitely ask, like, I know that I'm probably want to shoot ourselves in the foot on this one too, but definitely ask, or at least say up front your budget, because at the end of the day, it's what you can afford. And I know ourselves, we're very, very flexible in working with our clients as far as providing them something that they can afford, but still giving them a very high quality website. No matter what their budget is, we're going to put all of our effort into it. But I would definitely say ask what, if they have packages or if they have payment plans, because, you want to get that investment out there. But I know startup companies or people who are just starting don't want to pay, thousands of dollars for a website. And I've seen or heard of websites costing, like, I'm just waiting for the day where someone can pay me, $20,000-$30,000 or more for a website. But yeah, definitely ask, about, the cost of their services, including their maintenance too. because that's something that, you want to, keep in mind. So yeah.
Yeah, nah, and you hit that on the head because a lot of times, especially back in the day, I go to, say if I'm a speaker or say if I'm a podcast, I go to the top podcasters online and look at their websites like, yo, I want my website to be like that. But then once I listen to their podcast, like, yo, a lot of these guys, they put tens of 20s of $40,000 in this website. You're like, yo, why my junk ain't looking like that? But like you said, it all goes to invest yourself in these levels. Like you got to be honest and upfront about that. And hopefully you can find a great company like Spark Designz that can work with you in your dream and continue doing that. So
hold on real quick though, Greg. Like I was watching, I think it was a Shark Tank, and I think Mark Cuban was working with a company, and they were redoing their website, and they wanted to pay, I'm pretty sure it was $300,000 to get their website revamped, and it was some like company, they were selling dresses or something, and they were very big and very profitable. But I was like, yo, if someone can pay me $300,000 to do one website, I'm there. I'm there. I'm saying like they like in the piece that it gets really big when you involve back end and database pieces, especially the upkeep. The maintenance is probably the more expensive part because that's constant, especially if your website is changing all the time. Like Greg, I know you update yours constantly with your blog posts because, I mean, there's a content manager for you to do that. But if you're paying someone else, just keeping them on retainer to do that, how simple of a task is that for someone to get paid for? But that's what I said, $300,000 for a website, bruh. I think I called Britney like 2 minutes later. I was like, yo, we're not doing something right.
That's funny. Yeah.
Nah, that is hilarious, man. But last question this round. What can y'all just share with us? What has been your one biggest disappointment, and what is your biggest success? Because I said it's been 4 years in the game, and when I say disappointment, it don't got to be like something really down. But what is some of the things that you just really didn't think going into business it would transpire like that? But then also share with our audience one of your biggest successes.
Biggest disappointment, TJ, you're gonna laugh. Biggest disappointment is that Google reads your emails and then they steal your app ID. I was gonna say this. That's what our biggest disappointment is. So just a really, really, really quick background story. We were developing the app 1.5 years, 2 years ago. Some of the listeners may have been tapped to be on the when we put out the prototype on the play and trying to play around with it, our testing group. I'm not remembering the correct word for this right now. So we had this app. I mean, the idea was great. We were building it up. It got too costly for us. And we were kind of at that weird period where we were starting to pick up other projects, but it still wasn't enough. And so we had to say, you know what? All right, we spent this much time on it. We're just going to have to, unfortunately, and it sucked, we're just going to have to scrap it. And it was actually called Scrapic. It was going to be like a photo sharing meets GroupMe meets Facebook. It was going to be, it's going to be epic. That's the only word I can think of. And then not even like a month or so later, after we decided to, to let it go, to move on, invest in some other projects, the Google Photos come out. And it was exactly like Scrapic, like to the T. And then at that moment, I realized that Google runs my life and that they were reading our emails. And that was the biggest disappointment.
When I tell you this was a genuine idea, it was like, oh man. Like, at the time, like I was like, this is a great idea. I didn't know how it could or would take off. But when you get someone like Google to take that idea, and we couldn't even come back from that. Like, you can't even come back like, oh, we have an app like that too, but it's already too late. Like, oh, I can't tell you the hurt I felt when it still feel, because I use Google Photos faithfully. And like every time I use
You're a cheater. You're not loyal. You're not loyal.
Every time I use it, I'm just like, yo, this is exactly what we were doing. Like everything. So yeah, it definitely hurt. That was so disappointing. So we still use Google for our emails, but we haven't learned.
But out of all that, there was a joke with the Google still. I'm hoping that's not what happened, but just investing a lot of your time in something and then getting to a point where you realize it's not going to work. And you do have some ideas out there, unfortunately, where after you work through, if you do a SWOT chart, you do, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities. I'm forgetting the T at the moment. But you get through that and then you realize, hey, this isn't going to work. This isn't what I thought it was. So that was a really big disappointment because we spent a lot of time on that.
Mm-hmm. Oh man. So
TJ, you for the success.
So as far as success, it's probably it's kind of corny, but it's just the opportunity now that we're in a position that we can provide scholarships and not to allude to anything major, but we really want to be in a position where we can provide and give back to the STEM community. And I feel like everything up to now, has been pushing for that moment, and we're still going towards that. So, like I said earlier with baby steps, making websites is just a stepping stool for us, and we have come so far now as far as doing that, and it's something we're going to continue to do, but it's not our end goal, if you know what I mean. So I just think that, I'm really excited that we're going to go forward with providing this scholarship this coming up semester. It's really just, something to give back and continue the dream. Someone else may, hopefully this laptop will spark, something in that person to code or an idea that comes up. So I'm just excited about that. And that's just, how can you measure success when we're still working and grinding? But right now, that's it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, gotta cherish the small moments. Our last round before I rapid answer is the future, and I just want to ask a couple quick questions. So, what's next for Spark Designz in 2016? You got any new announcements on the way, or anything new that you would like to share?
I know, right? I mean, a couple of our tongues are tied a little bit just because of NDA agreements. But no, we have a couple apps that we're working on for other people. Some apps coming in, so we're excited about those. I mean, our portfolio this year has grown tenfold, so excited about that. As 2016 goes, we're going to wrap up this bit. This year was really, since we started getting a lot of work, just really building our portfolio, building our reputation, and then of course the scholarship. So as far as 2016, it will probably be slightly mum. For the rest of it. But 2017 and on, the sky's the limit. Eventually we'll take over the world like Google has. But we're still, 2016 is it's exponential growth.
Hey, I love it. And when it's all said and done, how do each, outside of Spark Designz, this is a personal question, how do y'all want to be remembered?
We want to be tech moguls.
Outside of Spark Designz, T.
Oh, you can do.
That's
start
outside,
off with
because that's outside too.
Oh, dang! I jumped over the question, tech moguls, because the question before that question was, what is the future of Spark Designz? Because I know what y'all capable of. I know web design, that's just the foundation. Like y'all. I know y'all have a lot more in store, and I know y'all can't share everything. But tech moguls, usually you don't see tech moguls just come from just website development and apps. So, if you had to create, or if you had to say 20 years down the line, what does Spark Designz look like?
This just looks like somebody else being CEO, because I'm going to be retired on an island by then. That's what it looks like.
That is real. But Spark Designz, Spark Designz, who knows what it's going to look like, right? We can say one thing now, but that can change 5 times until, to the end of this year, right? I just want the future Spark Designz. I think it's going to be prosperous regardless. We're not going to give up. It's not going to be Google. I'm not going to say that because I do know our lane. But we're definitely going to be someone to look out for as far as what we do in the community and what we do in STEM. So not just websites, and mobile apps, but Spark Designz is going to be, I can say, like a household name for the STEM community, and for those listening, the STEM community is science, technology, engineering, and math. So we want to be big in STEM. Britney and I are both nerds. we're big on, all things STEM. So we look to change the game a little bit.
Hey, amen. And now, individually, what do y'all want to leave behind?
Ooh, another deep one. I mean, a legacy. I mean, everybody wants to leave a legacy, so that seems pretty, generic, a legacy. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, even going back to my quote, I want to make sure I did everything that I could do in order to set my family up, in order to set the community around me up. Just, I want to be known as a great wife. That's a really big thing for me. Marriages don't do too well in my family, so that's a goal, just to stay married. I like to, have my name remembered with the great software engineers. There's a hall somewhere for that. And really, it really is just a legacy. And it begins with Spark Designz, that legacy. Just how we imprint. I want, my name to be in somebody's book of, the contributions that we made to the STEM community, even as far as outreach and then innovation.
I love that. So let's get into our and before I get to the code change round, because the code change round, that's basically the last round of the show. Is there anything that's on your mind that y'all would like to share before we into that?
Nah, man, let's get into it.
All right, bet. And I don't know how we're gonna do this. I mean, we can just play around with it, because I don't know if everybody can answer it one time, or I don't know how it's gonna rock. But we're just gonna jump into it. What is the best piece of advice that you have ever received?
I'm about to say this a lot longer than a rapid answer. Best piece of advice that I ever received.
Man, I could say, as far as advice goes, I've received some good advice, some bad advice, but
what's the best?
I think it's more the motivation behind it. Like, the people that tell me you're not going to be able to do this. But I think when I was younger, someone told me that I was going to be president one day, and I was like, okay, I'll set out to do something like that. But but I think it was more so like not of the United States or anything, but just go out and be who you can be, and be present, and be president of anything that you can create. Like, if you can create something, go out and take charge and lead something, be a leader. It was just instilled in me early at a young age, and that's what I can think of right now.
Amen. What is one of your personal habits that you can attribute to your success?
Reading.
What book? I already got the question about the books. That's the next question. So what about you, Tim?
Sheesh. I don't know. I would just say I stay up on, current topics in my field and outside of my field. I just stay current on a lot of things. It just helps with conversation flows. So actually, well, I guess to put that together, networking. Networking is very, 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 it's a big thing that helps me be successful.
Oh yeah.
Love that. What is your favorite book and why?
Business. Can I give two?
Yep.
So business wise, The Intelligent Entrepreneur. It follows 3 Harvard Business School students who learned how to fail, and fail again. So that's a really good one. I read that early on when we first created Spark Designz. I think it got me through that first rough year. Personal wise, the lies my teacher told me. So just everything going on now, I try to educate myself as much as possible on, things that were possibly taught to us that should not have been, or was just a complete lie, which is actually quite a bit when you go back and look at U.S. history in high schools and everything. So just lies my teacher told me by James Lowen, a teacher from actually Lincoln University. Great read.
What inspires you the most and keeps you motivated?
Family.
Yeah, family keeps me motivated, and just working, who I do it for, that's every day. You know, I have a target on my back, and you got to remind yourself who you do it for at the end of the day. You know, for me, it's, you know, my fiance, my family, my sisters. It's everyone that I can think of that will motivate me. And each and every day, why do I get up? It's them. They keep me going. It's the purpose behind it. You know, without them, you know, what would I work towards? You know, I just sit and probably play Xbox all day.
Love that, man. And y'all can both take the stab at this last question. But the question before the last question is, if you were the president of the United States, what is the first thing you would do?
Ooh. I'm glad I'm not the president of the United States. Let's see. You're the first thing you do. I would invest more in entrepreneurship. I cheated, but yeah.
What about you?
I'd paint the White House black.
Really?
I would. I'd be unapologetically black. I mean, you know, I'd be real with it. I can't even lie.
This last question is a deep question because, like I said, we're all culture change agents. It's not just my moniker. I trademark a portion of it, but no, we're all culture change agent here. And this last question is for this: is if you could change one thing about society, most specifically our African American culture, what would it be and why?
Us investing in ourselves. I mean, too many times, even up here in Detroit, where there's a heavy African American population, plenty of times we go to places such as chicken and fish. I mean, it sounds bad. Chicken and fish, like places that, you know, you buy, we fry. And then the people behind the counter are just not of the same ethnicity. And I mean, I have no issue with other ethnicities doing theirs, but I do have a problem when, I mean, me and Tim were just in LA a few weeks ago. We go to Koreatown. You got, you know, places, Chinatown. Most of the major cities have them. You know, you have, you know, Amish markets and things of that nature where the people who own it, the people
Amish markets are love.
They are.
Sorry,
but the people who own it, the people who, you know, are working it, are benefiting most from it is that ethnicity. Whereas you go into Black, African American, you know, Black, you know, whatever politically correct term you want to use, you go into those communities and we're not owning it. We're giving our money. We're basically helping other people feed their families while our families struggle. And so that's my really big thing is just, you know, educating, getting people to invest more in their communities, open up those nail shops that you spend $100 a week at, open up those places that fry your fish. Cause we all know, I mean, our grandma can fry the best fish out of anybody else we know. Mm-hmm. Just things like that. Invest in your community to the point where you're the one running your community and it's not considered the ghetto.
If I could change one thing about our society, I would say education. And I mean, that's just, you know, whether it's educating ourselves about ourselves or just period. Not to knock, you know, teachers or the education system that we have in place now, but I always ask myself, is it enough? You know, I find a lot of people like to homeschool their kids. And then when we get to the African American community or the Black community, what do you know about your history? You know, your history yourself, about your family, and about the people. Like, you know, schools lie. Like, there's lies in the books that they put in the schools. And I would definitely, you know, put in a change to educate people about, you know, our culture, our history, you know, our ways, you know, how to be Black. And then that starts, you know, in the community. So I think that, you know, we're not doing a good job as far as raising our youth or making it exciting for them to go to school, period. You know, you know, a lot of people don't realize going to school is a privilege. Mm-hmm. And really quick side story, when I did a mission trip in Haiti a few years ago, and it's crazy, you know, the public schools you have to pay for. Everything, like it's a business out there for them, and there was kids there who would give anything to get the opportunity of education that we have, and it just blew my mind how thirsty for education they were. And then coming back here, it's like kids feel like it's a burden to go to school, you know. And I'm just like, man, you know, whether you're going to school to learn something, like educate yourself, read. Of course, you know, you have to know what you're reading. But one of the biggest things, what they say about Black people, if you want to outsmart them, or if you don't want them to learn anything, put it in a book or put it in text, right? So, I mean, there's just one thing. This is one thing that goes. Education is very important. And I think that it's a big part of the downfall of our community and our society, you know, whether it's any color of people.
With all that being said, man, it's been a phenomenal interview. I know y'all dropped a lot of value, shared part of your story, and I'm just excited to kind of get this out to the world. So where can everybody find you guys at online?
So we have our website, Spark Designz with a Z.com. We are on Facebook, Spark Designz. We're on Twitter, Spark Designz. Also, we all have our own personal business. It's kind of weird. Personal business Twitter names. So I'm the CEO of Nerds, and Tim is the.
I'm codename _nerd.
And then, of course, we're on Instagram, Spark Designz LLC. So just remember the Z and Spark Designz, and you'll find us.
Please don't forget the Z.
Indeed. Well, guys, I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart and Minority Trailblazing Nation for giving us an hour plus of your time on a Tuesday night just to share about you, share your story, man, and just being a source of encouragement, which we're always in need of, especially in this day and age, man. So I'd like to say thank y'all.
Hey, thank you for giving us a platform.
Yeah. No problem.
This is great, man.
This is the first of many, man.
So, Minority Trailblazing Nation, you already know what it is. I need you to do 2 things before we depart. First thing, make sure you leave a review if you have an iPhone. If you have iTunes, leave a review. Boom, it only takes 1 minute. 2, if you're listening via Android, Stitcher, whatever other device, no disrespect to our Android listeners or my computer listeners, make sure you listen and tune in each and every week, and make sure you share these episodes, the ones that resonate with you or may resonate with someone you know. Share it with them, all right? Let's continue to grow this podcast. So as we always do it, I need y'all to do another thing. What's that other thing, Mr. Hill? That other thing is to change the freaking culture. Good night.